Hey, so Kwame here. I had an interesting request on the Squarespace forum about creating this effect where you have some text that's blocked and you have this interesting little outline thing going on. So I had a bit of a think, and there's a bunch of ways you could do it, but I'm trying to give you a simple kind of user friendly CSS version of it. So my basic setup is going to be like this. I have some text up here, and there's that every action counts. That's going to be the button or the highlighted bit. And yeah, I'll just recreate it from there. So first things first, I'm in my custom CSS. You can ditch this bit here. I am going to put, so I'm going to have two sections. I'm going to have the boxed text. Oops. So I'm just going to put some comments, boxed text. And I'm going to have the let's just call it every action counts text. I don't have a name for this yet. Cool. So I need a way to target those two pieces of text. If I bring up my inspector here, you'll see everything in this H2 here is just one block. So I need to separate it out. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to target this particular block here. I'm going to put that up at the top. I'm going to open some curly brackets, and I'm going to put a closed curly bracket at the end. So this box text and every action counts is inside. Maybe I'll put a note here saying target blocks here. Cool. I only want my code to apply here. We're going to go in. I'm just going to say, let's say, make all the difference. I'm going to highlight it. Honestly, normally I tend to use a strike through here or an underline because I rarely use them in other places on the site. There's two ways of doing this, so I'll show you both. I'm going to do a strike through for this text. Actually, no, I'm not. Sorry. I'm not going to do a strike through because, semantically it's not ideal. Let's go instead with just picking a color. I'm going to go to custom. I'm just going to pick this red. It doesn't really matter what else. And then I'm going to select this, and I'm going to pick a different color, and I'm going to select this green. Ignore all of the colors that they are there. That's just so that we can select them. Because when I save now, I can right-click, inspect again, and you'll see now there is a span around that little bit of text. But you'll notice it's going over two lines, which is not ideal. That's all good. We are going to, let's just make my inspector a little bit bigger so we can see this. Take this little part here where it's got the style equals color, blah, blah, blah. We're going to copy that. And we're going to open a square bracket and paste that in. And we're going to put a span at the front. So for when a span has that rule, and then we're going to do the same for this. Inspect, copy the color, style equals color, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do a span, square bracket, put that, and then again, open some curly brackets, and just format that nicely. There we go. So here, for example, if I do display none, it disappears. Good, we know that's working. So the next step, just delete all of these bits, is we need a box around it. That's pretty simple. We can use a border, but let's see what happens. Let's just go, just so it's visible, 3 pixels, solid, red. Yeah, not quite ideal. And plus, border can affect the layout, so not ideal. Let's instead use an outline. So outline, make it a bit smaller, 2 pixels, it's red. So now see, 1, it boxes both sections, and 2, it doesn't cause the same layout shift. Now we can talk about making the text stay on one line in a little bit, but for the time being, let's also correct the colors. So let's just do color, inherit. It's not going to do anything, but let's put an important in, and now it's back. And we can apply the same thing, color inherit. So it'll, rather than having its own color, which is dictated by this, the inline style, we can have it inherent from its parent element from the rest of the text. All good so far. Now let's see what else we had here. Now we need this box underline. So this is where it's going to get interesting. First of all, let's do the inset. So let's do transform, translate along the x-axis, and let's do 4M just so it's big enough. Ooh. Oh, hang on a second. Why is that not working? Let's check. I probably forgot something like position relative. No. Okay, let's just do this the lazy way, and let's just use a margin. Margin left 4M. There we go. This we're going to use borders for. So it's going to need a, actually let's rearrange my styles a little bit. Let's do a border, and let's do border left, and let's just do 2 pixels dotted red. Nice. Border bottom, 2 pixels dotted red. Working pretty well so far. What else do we need here? Well, we need some padding, right? Because it's way too close. So let's give it padding 2 rem, just for the sake of it. Now, I know that looks like it's a pretty good fit already, but I would venture to say that on different screen sizes... Oh, okay. There's a nice surprise. It works pretty well already. Good guess on my behalf. Let's reduce the padding, though. Let's just figure out if this is not going to work in all instances. Yeah, there we go. So if, for example, we wanted less padding, it's not going to fit ideally. And the reason being, there we go, we've got these 2 margins here. So let's notice, so this parent element, this H2, has a bottom margin. Now, if I just do target the H2 and I say, for example, margin bottom 0 important, just to override everything else, that might work, but that's going to affect other H2s on the page. So we're going to do this. We're going to do H2. Actually, well, we're targeting it within the block, actually, so we're okay. I was going to suggest we do something using the has selector so that this could apply only on instances for where, if you, for example, if you had multiple H2s within this block, and we could just do colon has open brackets and then copy this selector here. And then it will be a little bit more robust. So it'll only target H2 elements that have that specific element within it. Let's shrink this margin, padding even more. Let's just put it to 0 for a second and see if it still works. Yeah, it's not. So let's do 0.5, just because, again, I want to make sure this is definitely going to work. Let's open up the inspector again. See, is there a margin? Yes, here we go. So this P element has a small margin on it. So let's do pretty much the same thing. And let's annotate our code. Remove margin. And we'll do another remove margin. Remove margins. And again, we could do P margin top in this time, instance 0 important. But 1, that's overlapping, and 2, that might affect other P elements. So let's just do same thing, copy the selector, colon, has, regular round brackets. Ooh, get rid of this spacing. So it only affects that one. And then now let's examine why things aren't working ideally. So I'm going to add a guess, say it's to do with line height. Oh, it's to do with the padding there. There we go. So we're going to come in here, see if this works. Box sizing, content box. Nope, let's do border. No, no love. I'm going to do a lazy check here. Nope, doesn't matter. Okay, so it wasn't that. In that case, is it possibly to do with line height? Let's troubleshoot this a little bit. No. Let's try 100%. This is why I like challenges like this, because sometimes you want to figure out, sometimes you might find a solution and then it breaks in a way that you didn't expect it. Let's then look at this P element then. Has no margin top. Is it the line height here? Fit. I'm going to do a couple of there we go. Okay. Display block. Some lazy fixes. Display. Let's just do display flex. This is a super lazy way of doing it, but hey. That fits it. This fits fine. The reason why I just did display flex is because then it trims itself to the size of its children. I'm going to look in my inspector and I'm going to see, so the borders are taking up a tiny bit of space, which, let's put it on the other side, which might account for a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of the overlap. So maybe we do box size, border box, like I said before. Nope. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, I would say that that kind of accounts for pretty much everything. This tiny little bit of overlap, I don't have quite figured out at the moment. Might even be that this needs box sizing, border box. Is it content box? I always get these two confused. Nope. Yeah, it's close enough. I would say that probably works close enough for what you're looking for, and I'm kind of just going overkill trying to find every little fix that I can. Someone else might be able to fix this last bit for you. The other way you could do it, obviously, is by setting the padding to be exactly what you want it to be. But with this solution, whatever your padding is for this box button, whatever you want to do it, and whatever the margin, it's still going to work, and it's going to be a lot more responsive than if you what was the word for me? I was going to say, if you were to use like an explicit value. I guess probably the easiest way to fix this would be to do a border top and do 2 pixels. It can just be solid and transparent. That'll probably maybe make it 3 pixels because I'm lazy. Yeah, or 4 pixels, I guess. And that looks pretty close to how you would want it. Kind of hard to tell the difference. Maybe 1 extra pixel. Or is that just something on my screen? But yeah, this way you've got something that's responsive depending on the amount of padding you have. So we could even do something like this. And we can just mess around with the different sizes. Using outline, this joins up a lot neater than if it overflows. I mean, we could also add in, on this span, we could do, I don't know, display block maybe. And width 100%. Oh, sorry, wrong element. And that would let you maybe get rid of the width 100%. That would force it onto its own line at all times, but as you can see, this isn't as ideal. So yeah, there you go. Let's get rid of display inline block. So to reiterate, you target the main block, you target the text by giving it a color which is in line, and then you can use this attribute selector to target it specifically. you set the color to inherit so it matches the rest of the text. If you want to give it the border, you use outline instead of border. Then you target the parent element and remove the bottom border margin from the top bit of text. From the bottom bit of text, you basically repeat the same thing, just different color, obviously. And remove the margin top. And doing this flex just makes the box a little bit more responsive. One other thing I suppose you could do here is you could do, you can change the line height within the little style selector, style control, site styles up here. Line height, maybe 1.8 rem, just for the sake of it. Sorry, 1 point, not the P, the H2. Not rem, sorry. I wanted to do 1.4 m. There you go. If you wanted to get rid of the overlapping boxes, you could just increase the line height like this. There you go. I think that solves your issue. And I hope this was